Hey guys and girls, Board now back with you. On this video I returned to Ozark, so this is going to be my review of Season 1, Episode 8. The episode is called Cow, so full spoilers, just to warn you. Flashback episode, it goes back to 2007, so it's looking at the birds pre-coming to Ozark, the laundering thing. It sort of works its way up to Marty first becoming associated with more background with Wendy and what sort of happened to her in the past, her sort of political ambitions, which I think is going to come into play a bit more in the present in Ozark. And we also take a look at Petty's storyline. That's the FBI guy, like pre-coming to Ozark and working on that case. So it is a flashback. It's completely flashback to 2007. And I have to say, I'm going to say it now, this may well be the weakest episode of Ozark ever. I'm going to make that safe prediction. I'm not really a big fan of flashback episodes. Obviously, it depends how it's done, but in general, I'm not a big fan. And part of the problem with this episode is that it comes 8 episodes into the season. So it's at a point in the season where I am starting to get more into the characters, more into the drama, and I am starting to become more engrossed with the stuff going on in the present in Ozark. So it seems to me a strange point to have like a flashback episode. It's one thing if you want to do like a couple of flashbacks in an episode which are like important, but to do a whole flashback episode, and obviously it comes down to the quality, it comes down to if the flashbacks are relevant enough to the characters. Now obviously they still might be in later episodes, but in general this felt unnecessary. I didn't really think they needed to do that. I didn't think overall there was enough revealed to justify a whole flashback episode. The Wendy stuff may be the best stuff, just because, we hadn't really got that much on her character or that much on her background and state of mind. Again, Laura Linney does some great acting in this episode. She's always great, even if the script hasn't, up to this point, always given her the most to work with the birds, like a car trip, and Marty's doing this grand speech about how people make choices and about how you sort of almost saying you make your own luck, and it's sort of this classic like template which the show is based on, this sort of look at capitalism. It's almost like a sort of thing, like a classic capitalism would say. And I think it's just the irony of what they're going for is that they then have like a car accident, which in theory is something which is like completely random. And obviously by the end of the episode, Marty is in a bit more of a hairy situation, so to speak, in an uncomfortable situation with the cartel. Cuts back to it later on, and it's revealed that Wendy actually loses her baby. She was pregnant at the time, and they were looking forward to it. Obviously, plays a little bit into what's some of the stuff they've been talking about in the present, but that's the sort of thing I'm talking about, where it's a little bit of a melodrama and it doesn't quite justify. It's almost like they just did that beginning just to have that sort of clever reveal later on. But a lot of the good stuff, the better stuff, is with Wendy in the episode. I did like the stuff with her going for the interview for like the political campaign, because she obviously mentioned, I think it was in the last episode, to Buddy, she was telling him about her past, like working for Obama and stuff, and it's actually a really interesting side to Wendy's character, especially since it's sort of like the political manoeuvrings that she's used to or that she's picked up over the years will definitely come in handy with some of the stuff her and Marty have to try and do to like stay ahead in Ozark. But her going for the interview and being told basically that she's behind the times almost, this new thing about like Facebook and how important it is. And of course a lot of what has happened with politics has been like social media driven over the years. Over recent years, I know Obama was said to be the first one to really take advantage of it and really, you know, get his message across on that platform, which is quite clever, I guess, because of Wendy, you know, working for Obama in the past. All bad for Wendy because she's being told, you know, you're actually, this strategy doesn't really work anymore. You're actually behind the times now, and there's all these other people who come in who are just as bright as you, but they're a bit more ahead of the game, and it's a really hard pill for Wendy to swallow. And of course he's being a bit too sort of harsh and like narrow-minded. Themes of like women having like limited options compared with men sometimes in like the modern world. I don't think he's that good with the Keitel. We see Del go after him and trying to like persuade him to come on board. He very diplomatically just sort of says no, I'm not interested, I've got other sort of ideas. And at first he sort of thinks, well, he's gotten around it, but Del sort of grinds him down, and he like at one point he pays for him and Wendy to like have a holiday, and they do meet up, and the two families kind of do like they bond and get on quite well. Del finds out that then like one of his close aides has been working for the FBI, he's been an informant. But it's this sort of standard gangster type scene where he makes a point in front of Marty, because at this point Marty has been like talked into coming on board, or has it out with the guy in front of him. It's like in this bar, and he actually shoots him like really graphically in front of Marty. And you know, it's an alright scene, but it's just one of those standard type gangster type scenes where it's like, okay, because Marty has just come on board and the other guy's there as well. He's just showing them this is your future. This could be your future if you cross. Petty, I think his name's Roy, his first name, but Petty, the FBI guy, is in a relationship. He's fairly happy, although he's also quite bored, I think, because at this point he's not very high up in the FBI and he's not really getting very interesting sort of cases, exciting sort of life, and that obviously that's going to lead to him in the Ozarks. And I guess in a way it's that pretty typical be careful what you wish for type message. Live with his mother because she's like really ill, and have a good relationship that, you know, she's really spiteful and kind of tries to come between like Petty and the boyfriend and like causes trouble. But also she gets hooked on drugs at some point, and this is just some of the stuff where it's a bit, okay, this is so typical, and so it's not really. I think sometimes a show like this can go a bit far in, okay, everyone's screwed up, you know, isn't life shit, that sort of thing, and it's just a little bit cliche, and I don't really think we needed a Petty backstory. I think doing the Birds, you know, pre-Ozark sort of backstory would have been enough for the episode. I don't think there's really enough there with Petty to warrant a backstory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Also check out the audio podcast. I'm now spreading myself out on more platforms, so you can look for the podcast, some of mine and Rachel's reviews on horror and various things. I've given the podcast a name. It's the Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid the horror franchise podcast. If you look for that on your podcast app of choice. But thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.